Committee and the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen to arrive at this agreement. I think the biggest issue Mr. Smith has raised issue with is the $180,000. Last year, this town meeting, at the recommendation of those of us down front, made a concerted effort to put small capital items within the operating budget. Historically, we'd used about $300,000 to fund those in a separate article. We put those into the operating budget under some criteria that the finance director established. Last year, we used $237,000 to subsidize those in the operating budget. This year, we were going to phase that down. This year, that figure is $180,000, and next year, theoretically, the limit would be $120,000, so that certain items, and I'll name the biggest off the top, which is police cruisers, is something that we buy every year, and given the life expectancy, is something that we thought should be funded in the operating budget. Is this a tough budget? Yes. Will next year probably be a little tougher? I think that's probably fair to say. But there's still some question marks out there, one of which is Chapter 70. And I think we've done a pretty good job, considering that we at present are planning on zero increase in Chapter 70 to meet the needs of an increased enrollment, which we can all see. And we see the secondary effects of that, of increased use of the Ipswich River Park and increased use of the library, and we've met those needs on the town side. So I think overall we've done a pretty fair job, and we would be more than happy, we're not trying to sneak this through town meeting, but more than happy to entertain questions, which we haven't had yet. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Sylvia, please state your name and address, sir.
Al Sylvia, 20 Francis Street. I don't know whether you've done a good job or not. I'll take you at your word. But I do think we're establishing a very dangerous precedent here. This procedure is a town meeting procedure, and it should be voted on line item by line item. Now, you can say that they've done all they can about scrimping and saving and so forth, and this is the best they can do. Well, if it's the best they can do, maybe someone here at town meeting can do a little bit better. And how hard they worked? Well, they ran for the job, and that's part of the job, I think. But I do think that we have to stop this. This is town meeting area. This is a dangerous precedent. Now, as far as the school committee is concerned, we have beautiful slides. It'd be great if you could read them. You know, we got beautifully colored Easter eggs up there. Wonderful. But who can read it? Yes, I have glasses on, and I'm sitting about halfway, but these are reading glasses. I assure you, my visual acuity is 20/20. I don't know for what acuity you've designed these slides for, but you've totally wasted time as far as I'm concerned, because you can't read them. And we had some very fancy language going on down there with the school committee about technology and so forth. You ought to spend a little of it in being able to present a decent slide program. I think we should stop this baloney and go by the rules of town meetings that have gone on forever in the past, and go line by line so that everybody will know what is going on.
Mr. Reitmeyer.
George Reitmeyer, Mead Road. I want to add my 2 cents in agreement with both Mr. Smith and Mr. Sylvia. If we're going to operate the way that has been proposed by Mr. Jones, why don't we just have the checkers sign us in, give us a rubber stamp, we stamp it and then go home, then we don't even have to waste time. Town meeting has always been opponents debating proponents and getting the answers. We don't get answers if we're not allowed to ask questions, and I agree 100%. If you let this thing go the way it's going, it sounds to me the death knell of town meeting for North Reading.
Mr. Pasquale.
I'm not going to speak for 5 minutes, Mr. Moderator. I got to get something off my chest, though. I do go to a lot of public hearings, and I'd come in, I don't even sit here and people say to me before I even say a word, "Be nice, Mr. Pasquale," so I must have a reputation. I'm not knocking the slides. I know you put a lot of effort in, but what I'm going to tell you as an intellectual, there's no vision where we're going in this town. I feel like I'm on a rocket ship. Support this, support that, support this. We got these goals. the goal's got to be part of some vision where we're going with the school department. We need a vision where we're going with all this public safety, because we're going to keep coming here and coming here. Mr. Smith is right in a way, but I know I've gone here and gone down the line items, and believe me, none of them changed, despite you get up there. A few might change. So we go through the process and we drag it on. I guess what I'm saying is somebody's got to be taking the time, and I really mean this. I know yes, I see you around the town, I see you in church, etc., so I'm not knocking you intellectually, but you need help. Somebody's got to sit back, because we can't afford this quasi-vision you got out there. I don't know what it is. Because if we're striving to be the #1 school system, this town can't afford it the way we're going. And the same thing with the public police, the fire, and everything. We just keep sinking money into something, and I keep saying, what does this look like? And then we have a turnover of different people get on these boards, and we keep striving. We all feel great, but this is phenomenal. And I'll say it again just to be consistent, Mr. Young. The school budget is not $13 million, because we keep forgetting to put those other amenities and stuff that's covered under the other account, which is another $1 million. So just be consistent, so everybody knows what it is, okay? Everybody's done a good job. I know all the arguments, but believe me, sit back. There's a lot of people that aren't in here tonight. They can't afford it, believe me. That's what Mr. Smith hears, believe me, when he's out there in the septic fields. That's what he's hearing. We can't afford it. And that isn't to be, fallacious, but he gets around, he talks to a lot of people. It's the same thing with the town government. So you put a lot of fancy slides up, as my friend over here says from the transcript, Al. I didn't call them Easter eggs, but they all have to come to an apex, and there's no vision. You may think you got a vision. You don't have a vision. So we're on board for all of this different things. I don't see any accountability words. I don't see any words about efficiency. I don't see any words about how we're going to reduce in any of these budgets. And I guess when you're trained in business, that's what you expect to see. It's just say, support this, support this, support this. And if you want to go through and vote this one, fine. If you want to go line item, I'm going to tell most of the people the chances are minuscule. They're going to change very few things. Thank you.
Town council advises me that the motion that we have in front of us includes amounts that have to be voted by a 2/3 vote. So when we come to a vote, we will require a 2/3 vote, and that means that probably my tellers will earn their salary tonight. Mr. O'Leary.
It's not a procedural, it's obviously within the chair's purview to divide the motion if you so choose. Might I suggest that you just get a sense of the meeting?
Could you please use the microphone, Mr. O'Leary?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My suggestion, the chair has the prerogative of dividing the motion if he so chooses. My suggestion to the chair would be maybe just to get a sense of the meeting as to how we want to proceed, because we've been talking about this now for 45 minutes and not one person has asked a question on the budget. So let's get the procedural thing out of the way, decide how we're going to move forward, and if we do that just as a sense of the meeting, then the chair can decide whether or not we're going to divide the motion and go line by line or otherwise.
Okay, the chair will take that suggestion. On the procedural question, we'll just take a vote on the procedural question right now, and it'll be just for the education of the chair. It's no other purpose. And that is, no, as a matter of fact, the chair reverses himself. We will not take that vote. The vote will be on the motion when we take it. And if you vote no on it, then we will go line item by line item. That means that you don't want to go that way. Mr. Rowe, please state your name and address, sir.
Dana Rowe, 39 Willow Street. I have a question on if we pass this budget as it is right now, with the projected possibility of a new school, additional staff in the school, increases in all the labor contracts, every one of them is up, a new police station, new personnel, are we going to run into a position where we're going to have an override, a 2.5 override just for general government, because they're telling us our revenues are dropping down and everything else is going up? So, you know, are we going to be in that position because they just Mr. Jones said we're going to be in a mess.
Mr. Jones, do you wish to answer Mr. Rowe's question? Mr. Brad Jones, Sr.
Why me, Dana, I don't know, but I'll attempt to answer. There are monies included in the school department budget of a certain amount anticipating a certain contract settlement. On the town side, under the salary pool, there are also monies in there anticipating contract settlements. Having said that, all contracts, school and town, are ending June 30, and new ones have to be in place as of July 1. As far as I know, none of those contracts have been settled. So we're anticipating a level of settlement. Can't be any guarantee of that. And yeah, there may be a possibility that come October, somebody, schools or town, may be back to say, I need bucks more because of the contract we signed. As far as overrides, no, they're not part of that. That's a separate issue. New police station, new school, that's a separate issue. Does that sort of answer the question?
On the motion, is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Okay, once again, to remind you of the procedural item, if you want to not take the article in toto as it has been moved, but rather proceed line item by line item, then you should vote no on the motion. If you do want to go take the article in toto and not go line item by line item, then if you're in favor, you should vote yes, and if you're opposed to the entire amount, then you should vote no. The lady in the aisle, please state, Mrs. Jenkins.
Diana Jenkins, 226 Haverhill Street. Would this mean that the article will fail and then need to be brought up for reconsideration with a new motion?
No, once it has failed,
the motion before us
has failed, the article is not exhausted, and we just proceed immediately line item by line item. On the motion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. The chair is in doubt. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And would my tellers please go to work? Mr. Jones, Ms. Mullen, and Mr. Reitmeyer. Mr. Reitmeyer.
5.
5.
You're all counted. I'm not going to count you again. I was quick, wasn't I? Want to see my quick thought?
Ms. Mullen? 18. Mr. Jones?
25.
25. All those opposed, please raise your right hand. Mr. Reitmeyer?
9.
9?
9.
Thank you.
9. And I any. One less than 10.
Ms. Mullen? 24. Mr. Jones?
25.
There are 48 votes in favor, 58 opposed. The motion is lost. We proceed line item by line item. Mr. Jones, Jr.
Mr. Moderator, I move to raise and appropriate the sum of $78 to fund the FY 2000 moderated budget as specified on lines 1 and 2 as printed in the sponsor recommended column of the warrant.
You've heard the motion for $78 to fund the 2000 moderator budget as specified on lines 1 and 2 as printed in the sponsor recommended column of the warrant. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation? Mr. Burton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. After much deliberation, the Finance Committee recommends.
Does the Board of Selectmen have a recommendation? Mr. Jones.
I understand the moderator wants to leave the meeting to make a PowerPoint presentation, but the Board of Selectmen do recommend.
Any further discussion? Mr. Vino? No. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carried. Mr. Vino?
Mr. Moderator, I move to